that the artist is always the ruler.
Oh, your love of
And
African literature.
I'm so
Cool.
excited to be here. On the issue of, we understand them, of course, through the lenses of the Constitution, particularly Article 38, that they are institutions that are supposed to cultivate not only democracy, but they're supposed to be breeding grounds that enable the growth of individuals and leaders, especially in a constitutional democracy such as ours. Sadly, political parties in Kenya are graveyards. Most political parties are graveyards on matters ideology and on matters opportunities for women and youth. Because I will tell you for a fact that when you examine Kenya's post-colony discourses, political parties, and lived realities of women and youth, you would realize that they have never found comfortable spaces for growth and nurturing within political parties, at least not many of them. Many of them have struggled, and most of the time you find that whether the founders or the political elites that are the controllers of these political parties tend to muffle or submerge the young people, especially the youthful individuals, the women, so much so that it has enabled the aspect of gerontocracy in Kenya.
Yes.
In fact,
explain that term,
well,
gerontocracy.
the rule by the old.
Exactly.
And so women and young people within political parties have found themselves in what Frantz Fanon referred to as the zone of non-being. They are quite at the periphery of issues within political parties. Now, when you look at how most of the time young people are treated within political parties, one, they are dancers, tent erectors, bouncers, goons. They are not trusted to be decision makers at the sancta sanctum of power within political parties.
Yes.
And that's why he said that they are graveyards. Women and young people are considered as only enablers and voters, not drivers. And then there is also the serious absence of intellectual radicalism and ideological growth within political parties. And that's why we see that, and we have lamented so much, that there is not so much nurturing and growth within political parties in Kenya, and especially for women and youth. And that is why the institutionalization of political parties in Kenya, especially through the Constitution of Kenya 2010, appreciating the input of the political parties funding model, so that political parties are not clenched within the fists of the founders, but they are public institutions where everybody can come in, grow, and have the opportunity to lead.
Faith, do you agree? Do you think we exist in a gerontocracy where we are led by geriatrics and the rest of us have no chance? Has this been your experience and your observation?
Let me look at it through a broader perspective.
Sure.
If you look at the Constitution, Articles 27, 55, create the environment for women and youth to be able to vie and equality before the law, the Constitution gives a very good ground. Even looking at the role of IEBC to support the same. Now, I always say the challenge is the Constitution is open. However, constructively, politically, it's opaque or it is impossible or difficult for women and youth to find themselves in those spaces. And I say this because I started with even the joke of the youth leader. There's a joke of the ODM of the youth leader. And it started because a nomination was made and the court gave its constructive opinion or view of the law at that particular time, that even an old person can represent the youth. And it might be seen as progressive, but that was clawing back and taking away ideally, what the Constitution aimed that if it's a nomination for youth, they ought to be. So if you expound and say even an old person can take up and represent the youth, you do not necessarily have to be a young person to represent the young people, then it means you're clawing back on any gains by that even construction of the law. Then let's go to political parties. And I keep saying it's a blame game also in how we construct the law. For political parties, they have various bottlenecks. And these bottlenecks arise into, you could say, some are made bouncers and what. But I would say the bottlenecks political parties have is that you don't give opportunities for young people to be able to take up these political seats. And you normally see how political parties organize themselves is that areas where the party is weakest is where they will nominate the most women or give them the ticket to vie for those particular seats. Why? Because they are sure
That they're going to lose?
they are going to lose. But legally, to be able to present this list to IBC, because IBC should ensure that not more than 2/3 of one gender. But because you're sure this area, we don't have strength, all the women are given tickets, or all the youth can be given tickets for that particular area. So there is no constructive aim to ensure that compliance. Let's talk about the last election. Just before the last election, and I remember challenging one nominated senator because I told her it's her party that went to challenge in court.
Right.
The IBC had made a very strong stand. They said they will not allow party lists that do not meet the 2/3 gender. But the eve to closer to the elections, a week to the elections, they went to court, got a court order stopping IBC from enforcing that the same. So what happened? The same party lists, the same games we continue to see, and there's no nominations, or the party lists do not comply with the 2/3 gender rule. And also a question of influence, being included versus influence. We see there's a lot of opportunity there to meet the legal requirements.
Yeah.
Youth will be included, women will be included. However, your influence in that party is the question.
It's minimal.
Yes, and sometimes I had friends who argue that they don't want to see youth leagues or women leagues in political parties because how it happens is those are boxes that are constructions that are created to avoid you sitting at the table. Because at the neck, they'll say, so you have a woman representing you, you're well represented. You have one youth representing you, you're well represented. So whether that meets, that is a youth or not doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you see, it's a constructive box that is created and your issues are pushed at that particular side. You women go and talk about your issues there. You youth go and talk about your issues there. So I always say it's unfortunate, but there's no revolution that has ever been created without young people. And women, we are the voters. The loyal voters that will always go and ensure they're number one on the line. It's high time that we recognized our currency. Because when you see the ability of that currency and what it brings, because the moment people want to go to the streets, it's the youth who people will be looking for. The ones who actually sit at the table and share the pie are never the number ones on the streets. You'll never see those faces.
Yeah.
So we must recognize our currency and also now fight for those spaces because unfortunately, and Jerry will tell you, even her to get to her space, she fought a lot, but it's not impossible. I would say the beauty as a young person is she's saying she had to speak a lot, but I always say as youth, you also have a lot of energy. You can be in 10 places in one day that an older person will only make 1 or 2 trips. So by the time he's trying to catch up to you, you woke up early in the morning, you were with people at 7, at 8, at 9, even you will club with some in the evening. By the time they're trying to capture them, they put them in a room, gave them 100. But you have been able to capture a larger group and you're able to connect with them at their level. Because we forget the very basics in how we reach out to one another is what connects us together.
Yes.
Because money is always the highest bidder or the last bidder.
Mm.
And it reaches a time that money is not good enough. Someone wants that person they can reach out to, they can talk to, they'll be able to call, and they'll be able to connect with. And as young people, you must put yourself out in those spaces, because relying or sitting down and saying you will not go and disrupt these spaces because you don't have the money. If you're waiting for the money, if you don't have it now, you won't have it the next time. Go and disrupt. Let them know your face, because when your face is always on their mind, they see you everywhere. It gets a time they'll say, let's just give this vote to this person. And that's how you get yourself in that space. So don't always leave it to, fine, the money factor is big. The issue of violence in elections is bigger.
It's a big issue, yes.
I say violence is the biggest issue, even apart from money, because you can have money, but because of the violence, you can't even get to that venue. But as younger people, you have the energy, you have the drive, and the new energetic ideas that make the difference. I don't think we should allow yourself to be boxed and put into a construct, because if their politics is for money and violence, we must change our politics to
Yes.
be different, to be able to meet that divide.
Period. All right. So, Bina, you ran as a young woman. You've also worked with young women who also want to vie with the organization at Badili Africa. So, you personally, what structural barriers or evidence of bias have you seen in the party nomination process? Have you seen something like similar to what Faith has mentioned, where when you will just be nominated in a place where you're just assured of no victory? Or have you seen other ways in which this bias kind of manifests itself?
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I think even before I get to political party nomination, I just want to start with the fact that when you run for office as a young person, and especially as a young woman, you quickly learn that politics in this country is just not about ideas. It's about power. It's about who's seen as legitimate to lead. You quickly learn that you're not just campaigning against other candidates. You're also campaigning against assumptions that are held about you as a young woman, about your legitimacy to lead. You're first of all even having to convince people why you're running for office as a young person or as a young woman, even before you navigate the party politics. You're dealing with political violence that has been so normalized, even within political party structures.
Yeah.
Because in this country, sadly, there are so many parties that do not even have sexual harassment policies. So what do you do as a young woman when the SG of a party harasses you? Are they going to be dismissed? Who forms part of the disciplinary committee? And also, how has their leadership been? Has it been devoid of sexual harassment? Because especially even for people like us who work to fight gender-based violence, sometimes when you look at how intimate partner violence is treated, literally you're arrested, there's kelele everywhere, but then someone can slap you in a political rally, a whole politician, and it's treated as the cost of participating in politics. It's like you should have expected. That's how someone should react when they're angry. Someone can pick their gun and they shoot you, but then the case can drag. But imagine if it was their own partner that they shot. And so even when it comes to political parties, setting the tone, when it comes to how the conduct of the people within that political party should be, I think we have generally failed at that. And I'm saying that because women are the backbone of political campaigns in this country.
Yes.
Not just running for political office, but women play a lot of roles. Whether as campaigners, strategists. If you talk to any politician, the bulk of the guys who are doing their work are women. And so sometimes when you look at the challenges, it's so easy to look at the challenge of one particular candidate or to look at the struggles candidates face. But ideally, one candidate puts like 20 women at risk of gender-based violence, because you can imagine right now, anytime, let's say, a presidential aspirant or even, let's say, Faithia is attacked in, let's say, Madare, she will be evacuated, but her mobilizers will remain there. People know where their mobilizers stay. People don't know where Faith stays, but the people who support you, people know where to find you. And so when you face that kind of violence, at the end of the day, you become collateral damage for a politician you're supporting, and your struggles are very invisible. And I think that's an issue I'm very passionate about, because we have documented for like the past 6 years the challenges of women behind the scenes who are treated as collateral damage. You know, the other day we saw Wandeto, who was doused in, is it acid?
Yes.
Because of supporting the dominant political party.
Yes.
Many people don't even remember her name. You know, literally, you know, you go to places, Millie Mabona lost, you know, the driver during the political campaigns. People don't know the driver's name. The other day, I think in Linda Monanchi, is it Irungu Kangata, Honorable? You know, the driver was shot dead. People don't even know his name. That's why I'm saying there's so many people who work behind the scene. And so as political parties, when we see this kind of incidences, what are we doing about it? You know, what rules should we set in place to ensure that we don't normalize what we see, even just hate speech? When you look at even the comments online, the other day, I think I saw a woman talking about being harassed by an executive, like the executive director of this political party. I don't know if any of you saw it. It was on Facebook. And she even documented it. I think we're in the same WhatsApp group, in Jerry, where it was shared. And she even had an OB and said, you know what, I've even going to report this case. You know, this executive director of my party is harassing me. I've even told my party leader. And I literally looked at the comments, and the first comment was like, sasa huyu ni mtu wa kuomba vitu. That was the first comment. You understand? The very, very first comment. And I looked at all like 18 comments that men wrote trivializing that particular matter. Yet it's a lived reality for many people who want to support politics in this particular country. And so I think that compounded with, I think what we've discussed here, the cost of participating in politics. What role can political parties do to minimize that cost for young people? Because data in this country shows that you need a minimum of 5 billion to run for the MCA position. You need a minimum of 20 million to run for the MP position. You need a minimum, and just note minimum, of 22 million to run for woman rep position. And sometimes, even when I look at when we had conversation on campaign financing and some of the recommendation from IEBC,
Yes.
I remember those were almost the same figures they were talking about. And for the presidential level, and maybe Javazia can confirm, they said you should not spend more than 4 billion as a president. And I was there calculating the salary of the president and allowances, and I'm like, he doesn't even make 1 billion across 5 years.
Yes.
And
So where
they're
is 4
saying
billion
he
coming
shouldn't
from?
spend more than 4 billion
Yeah.
running a presidential campaign. And I'm like, so where do you get this money? Like, IBC is recommending you shouldn't spend more than 4 billion as a president. And I'm there doing the math. I'm like, president to pata 2 million times 12, that is 24. I'm like, he doesn't even make half a billion across 5 years. So where is he going to get that money to top up? And that is bare minimum. Now imagine for someone who wants to run for the presidency in this country, what is that telling you? And so I think we need to get to a point where we have an honest conversation, even as young people, on how we build power from the community. And also, as women, we need to have an honest conversation, because I looked at the data in the last election. About 10 million voters were women in this country. Yet, when I look at the priority of most politicians in the last election, they were very, very masculine. You know, talk about safety in this country. You know, today I was in a meeting, and also this week I've been on a radio show. And there was a very striking example of sometimes you just walk in the streets, even in town or at Uhuru Park. A man can just get tired and sleep by the roadside. Like, just sleep. And, and we were wondering, as a woman, can you just get tired and sit beside the road and sleep?
Never.
Like, even when you walk through Uhuru Park, it's an open park. But you walk through, you barely see women lying down to sleep. Not because they're not tired, but I'm like, how safe are you if you're sleeping in Uhuru Park? Like a man will just lie there from 11, they're sleeping. Safety is a big conversation in this country, yet we continue to treat gender-based violence and femicide as a social issue and not a national crisis.
Okay.
Care work is a big conversation, even as I
Yes.
wrap up. Yet those issues never even make it in the manifestos of local leaders to say, you know what, I am going to reduce gender-based violence by this whatever percentage if you elect me. Our priorities never make it to political conversation, yet we are the backbone of political campaigns. And I think in this next election, we need to reverse that.
Wow. All right. So, Jerry, Javas earlier talks about how political parties are graveyards, ideological graveyards where there's no real, progressive idea to be found. And also he mentioned that young people are tent directors, we are bouncers, we
We're
are,
tired.
we are dancers, right? So when we look at all the issues that that Bina has raised, and especially given that all these issues happen within the infrastructure, within the framework of existing political parties, how then do we move from where we are now to a place that looks like progress? And I ask you this as a sitting member of parliament and as a member of the legislature and arm of government.
I think we have to be alive to the realities of, idealism of how we would like things to get done
Yes.
and how they actually work behind the scenes. In regard to political parties, there's a philosopher called Pietro. He talks about the inevitable rule of the elite. So essentially, political parties are like any other organization. They have to accumulate resources. You have a party office. People have to bring in their financial muscle. And that is where young people are edged out systematically. So it is as if the system, the way it has been set for eons, edges out young people. For example, when I was vying for county MP, there were discussions happening here and there. And of course, it was said, well, our woman rep candidate has no money, so we can't really involve her in the decision making. So essentially, I did have something to offer. I have the intellect to offer, right? I'm already, by the time, admitted as an advocate of the High Court. There are people who had even maybe perhaps lesser qualifications that were considered, to sit at the decision-making table because I was not funding the party at the time. And that is the harsh reality that majority of young people find themselves in. You find that the elite control the resources. And because of the age factor, that I had not even worked for barely 2 years prior to me
Diving into politics.
Because
Yes.
Faith here knows you take forever in law school. So I didn't have the money because of the time factor. It doesn't mean that maybe perhaps in future it doesn't check out for me as a young person. But if it's going to take me having the money to have a seat on the table, basically you're buying a seat at the table.
Yeah.
So that is why you find that the ideas of young people mostly are not even implemented because the party honchos, the people who run and own the political parties in Kenya, mostly are the people who are the political elite. They're the people who have the money. So systematically, young people are edged out to what, relegated to what you've heard Javas here tell you, to dancers and bouncers. You really have to fight. You have to be a fierce little spitfire to get anywhere around, the party honchos and them having or giving you a listening ear.
Yeah, they have to know who you are.
They really do have to know who you are.
Yeah. Come with
So
me.
my party leader at the time didn't know me. I'd go, I have my competitors, he knows my competitors, he's calling them by name. I'm like, oh God, I'm never going to win this seat. I mean, the party leader doesn't even know me.
Right.
By the time you're trying to get to them, they're like 10 bouncers there. You're flying, and you know me, I'm tiny, so you're flying me there because someone is like, why are you trying to access the party leader? So that systemic exclusion of young people.
The gatekeeping.
The gatekeeping by
Yes.
the political elite who have the money, who have the advantage of time, who are able to caucus. That's why you find that even sometimes with the nominated positions in parliament, sometimes people are like, oh, why is XYZ being nominated? Because
Yes.
it's who knows who has the money to come say, I have 20 million to fund the party. I don't want to run for any political elective office. I just want a nominated position.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the reality of it, I think we have to agree to find a middle ground
Yes.
where we can come and mitigate these issues. Because, I mean, we can sit here and have this conversation, right? Elections are going to be next year. Politics, like you've heard, 4 billion for presidential campaign. So unaulizwa kwa chama unawekelea ngapi? How much do you have?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So essentially, I think it is a conversation that it is just beyond the talking. We have to understand the nitty-gritties of that systemic exclusion, like
Yeah.
we understand patriarchy now.
Yes. I know a lot of people who are sitting here tonight have heard that it costs 20 million to run for an MCA, 22 million to run for women's rep, 4 billion to run for president. How many
Minimum.
people are wondering, but it's
Minimum.
minimum. How many people here are wondering how those figures were arrived at? That's it. Are there questions? Okay, so who among Javas, can
Javas
you
can
answer?
tell us how 4 billion was arrived.
Yes, I want us to understand how this figure of minimum of 4 billion was arrived at. By the way, who can do the math? What is 4 billion in USD? Maybe that's what will shock us into cents. Can someone do quick maths? How?
You want to traumatize us?
Yes, yeah, trauma has to happen. Ian, how much is it? Oh, Ian, you said, don't look at me for math. You said how many? $400 million, give or take. $500 million. 30. Because I was like, sorry, my math is off. $30 million, right? Which, can you guys decide which figure? It's $500 million. Are we sure? Okay, let's just agree that it's many millions of dollars. Millioni mingi. So Javas,
Yes.
what does that say about a society that expects someone to be a dollar millionaire before running for president?
You
Or at
see,
least to have access to that kind of funds? And how is that figure arrived at? How did we get there?
that question
Yeah.
inevitably invites all of us into the discourse on intersectionality in our democracy. From the time that it was propounded by Kimberly Crenshaw, Matters Intersectionality in the 1800s, you realize that structurally, even through our history, that while all this discrimination against women, against young people because they are moneyless, has been politically constructed, it has been structurally embedded
It's by design.
so that the system is already rigged against women and the youth. When you say that an MCA has to spend a minimum of 5 million, and then just before all this increment was earning about 150,000 shillings, does it make sense?
Yeah, the math isn't mathing.
When IBC made that proposition that a presidential candidate should spend a minimum of 4 billion or 5 billion, and as Bina has indicated, it doesn't make sense in terms of, other than service, which is in quotes,
Yes.
the issue is that, are you running to be bankrupt?
Yeah, where are you getting the money from?
Yeah.
Once you spend the 4 billion, what are you going to be left with?
Exactly. So that is a huge challenge. The system is already too rigged against women, against youth. And that's why they are at the periphery. They are fence sitters, bird watchers in matters governance and politics and democracy, that for you to get at the center, you fight every battle beyond the battles that people like David in scripture and others, or even Shaka Zulu fought. You fight way harder to get there. And let us chew and maybe ingest some data and facts.
Yes, let's eat.
Look, as we sit here tonight, when you look at the number of the issue of representation
Yeah.
in this country, tonight as we're sitting in this 13th parliament, where Mheshimiwa sits, do you know that of all the standing permanent committees and the departmental committees in the National Assembly, I think about 40 or 44, only 5 are headed by women. All right? And these are departmental, not permanent committees.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
Secondly, when you look at the Senate, there is no woman heading a permanent committee. There's only one woman who is heading the standing committee, which is a departmental committee.
Yes.
Now, when you look at the median age in this country is 19.
Yeah.
Young people are 75% of the population. When you look at representation in parliament, young people are 18%.
What's a median age in parliament?
In Kenya, median age in parliament, I think we are looking at almost 50 or 45, 48, 50.
Yes.
Median age. Now, when you look, and that's why Kenya is a young country, Africa is a young continent,
Yes.
but this power has been ceded to the political elites who engineer the system that they ensure is sustained, rigged against women. And as even President Faith has indicated, women form the bulk of the support base of any successful candidate in
Yes.
politics,
Yeah, that's true.
and then the youth. But why is it that the moment these persons get into decision-making positions, they keep the women, they keep the young people relegated? Another thing, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
you realize that 21% of parastatals in Kenya are chaired by women, 21% of all the parastatals, and 22% are women who are CEOs or MDs, 22%. The rest
Yeah.
are men.
Yes.
It tells you still that while there is a bit of trying to pull our socks from around the anklets, there's still so much that is not working in favor of women, in favor of the youth.
Yes, that's true.
When you slice and dice some critical writings by a few important thinkers in the global south, perhaps nearer home, when you look at the writings of the Brazilian Paulo Freire,
Yes.
and he argues that it is important for young people to ensure that they are thought leaders, that they should be depended on not just for their energy in dancing and being bouncers, but in terms of being helpful decision makers within a political system. And
Yeah.
he's writing through his book, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed.
Okay.
When you read Mahmoud Mamdani in
Yeah.
Citizenship and Democracy and Governance, he's Ugandan here,
Yes.
still continues to be befuddled by the fact that young people are not thirsty enough to take power and leadership without compromise. And that's why Cameroonian political scholar Achille Mbembe, in his book, The Necropolitics, argues, and you may be tempted to agree with him without restraint, that when it comes to the politics of death, look at issues that are faced in a society even as ours.
Yes.
If it's a question of extrajudicial executions, majority are young people, particularly men.
Yes.
When you look at the history of even the African continent, look at Rwanda, the genocide,
Yes.
while it was enabled and financed by the honchos, the elites, political elites, it was executed by young people.
Yeah.
And that's why it takes me to what President Faith wondered or mused about, the kind of energy, what should be the position, what's the utility of young people in power, governance, and politics?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
as you look at it, you realize that even in the post-election violence of 2007,
It was mainly young
it's
people.
mainly young people.
Yes.
So why is it that we cannot convert this energy, the enthusiasm, the dreams and aspirations to make decisions that matter to us? And pardon me for using this example, my relative here, belongs to a party, DCP for instance, where, for example, the leader of DCP has indicated that when people vote, we will get to have young people to guard the votes.
Yes.
Why is it that they have to guard the votes and not the ones being voted for?
Ooh.
So for me, the issue is that young people should not be the bad watchers, the enablers, the security people in a democracy. They should be the ones actually that are at the center of a nation's existence and governance.
And not just existing at the periphery.
Yes, and that's why even one of our leading scholars is now deceased and now arrested, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. When he speaks to us through Decolonizing the Mind, and even one of his other books, Remembering Africa, our politics has been dismembered first by ourselves, the young people, because when you plot that Cartesian plane, the intersection of governance, power, and politics, where you find the youth, where you find women, it is not at the center
Yeah.
of power and decision making.
Okay, we'll get back to you. Ian is going to be speaking directly to our special guests. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Cheryl. And I invited them here. I didn't know they'd be referred to as bad watchers because of what the system has made them.
Yes,
do,
bird
right?
watchers, tent electors, dancers.
So we have Billion, we have Derek, and Soina. I just want to hear from your experience. Billion, you've been on the campaign trail for quite some time. Did you have 20 million? Which is equivalent to $150,000 US. Tell us about your experience.
Thank you, Ian. I didn't get to that figure. However, it was pretty close. And because it's politics, when I got there, I think the first time I vied was in 2014 during a by-election.
Yes.
And I think everybody was passing me like nobody, I was invisible. So I went back, I joined a political party, I went through the youth league, I got to understand how the structures work within the political parties. So when I decided to run in 2022, I think I was ready. And I think one of the things that Njeri and I, we paid political parties before you vie, you have to pay a nomination fee. And I think both of us paid around 250,000 as a young person. So there are so many obstacles that we face, and then also vying in Mathare. I remember when I was vying in Mathare, and Mathare is one of the hotspots in the city. So running on a UADA ticket against the ODM, and those are areas they call their strongholds. Yeah, so it wasn't easy, but we have to do what we can. So the conversation is interesting, and I hope it doesn't scare young people from pushing and going for this position.
Why are you going again? I believe you're running this time around, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going again, but I have to be very strategic this time around. I don't want to lose again the money, but I also had support around me. But people can only support you. For the first time, it's easier for you to mobilize people to support you. But when you're running again now, you have to make now an informed decision. So in many cases, people will expect you, si ujipange sasa. So I'm trying to jipanga, but also being strategic about it and talking to more young people to join this space.
As you pass over the mic to Derek, who's I think vying for the first time, what's the one thing you tell him to watch out?
Ooh.
I think for me it was no, not to watch out, but I think for me is as a young person, I'll ask him or advise him to be able to cut across. So for me, as an UDA candidate, I would still go to ODM strongholds and talk to young people. So what I would tell him is, when you're campaigning, just structure yourself as a young person who cuts across. Most of the time, the language that we speak as young people cuts across. So if you place yourself as somebody who cuts across, it's easier to get to those spaces. Otherwise, it gets chaotic.
Derek, have you been trying to cut across? And I've been seeing obviously your stuff on socials. Why are you vying, and what does this conversation actually mean for you, especially when it comes to raising that kind of amount of money?
Thank you, Ian. I am Derek Charles Mtende, and I think the youth, we have potential, you know, and we are the ones who build a better tomorrow. We have the energy, we have the capability, but the structures to get to where you're supposed to get to these spaces where you can get to leadership, they are unreachable, you know. It's high time we swallow this harsh truth as Kenyans that we have a very unhealthy way of doing our politics, and this directly affects young people. So when you tell me that I need millions to do a campaign, hiyo ni kusema nini? You know, like Kenyans should ask themselves, what do Kenyans want? Kenyans want good leadership. Good leadership does not come from, you know, ati umekuja umetupangisha hapo line, umetupatia hizo pesa zenye unatupea. Inafaa unakuja unatupea social, economic and cultural policies that really do matter. Unaona? But tumeiekelea, it's the same young people wenye wanasema wanataka kuget to these spaces of leadership. Hao ndo watatumika kama goods. Hao ndo watatumika kama these bloggers who are sanitizing the same people that we are trying to replace. The nature of politics the past 60 years has been relatively the same. Unaona, like the same faces, the same political parties. Hatujai jaribu something else, ni kama hatunanga option.
Do you think times are changing given what happened in Onkalau, for instance, where people for the first time were taking out money and that did not influence their vote? Do you think that will change, or change the system and how things are?
No, it won't, because we have to make decisions that are morally upright. I said at a certain time, hakuna venye utaambia Mkenya ati chukua kula hapa kwa billion alafu kura kwa whoever. It does not make sense, because hiyo pesa yenye unapewa ni pesa ya nani? You have to ask these questions, like you revert. Hii ni pesa yetu. Unaona, hii ni pesa yenye wewe unachanga. We are not united. We can't be united by tribes, but we're united by our taxes. Hii pesa ndo tunachanga. It's supposed to help us. Now, these same people are using the money. Wanakuja na tupangisha line DCP. DCP, nani ndo ameform DCP? Gachagua alikuwa ametoka kuwa impeached, pap akafungua DCP. The young people in 2024 were asking the correct questions like, mbona the late Raila Amolo Odinga amenyamaza when this finance bill is being passed? We Gachagua, unafanya nini? Wewe Ruto, what are you doing? Like, we are asking the correct questions, and it's a pattern which is supposed to inafaa ivunjwe. Na haiwezi vunjwa na the same people. We can't reach to kuokoa nchi yetu na the same people, the same resources zenye zimetumika kutumiza. Just a minute. Unaona kama Mr. Sifuna, unaona kama Sifuna alifungua pay bill lini, Wakenya already wamechanga. It's Kenyans and the youth who want to continue with this unhealthy system of leadership, kwa sababu inawasaidia, while in real sense inaendelea kudig a huge hole, because DCP, it's not a party yenye imetengenezwa na young person. We do not align na basis zao, atu align na chenye hao wanasema. Unaona, they might have the money, but why are you going there? Let's unite as a block, young people, watu wajiulize, what do we really want? Unaona, kama tunataka hii, itakuwa tu hivyo, tutatumia hizo mamilioni bado. And if we really want to change the script, we'll change the script.
Thank you, Derek.
Again, Soina, you are the youngest candidate back in 2022. How was your experience like? Are you vying this time? If not, why?
Thank you very much. I think for me, I had so many challenges. Some have been said by the speakers before. One, of course, at home, parents have to be scared. You're just a girl. Why are you doing it? And I remember my mom was so much against it for the first time. But I'd say kichogumu, courage, determination actually saw me to get to the ballot. But then also, where I come from, Kajiado North is a cosmopolitan constituency. It's not like the Maasai people who are there, and we're still voting based on tribes. I heard a lot of people tell me that, Maasai, we've left the interior part for you guys. You should not be in the town areas of Kajiado. So why do you think we should actually vote for you? And looking at it, even in politics, you have something called kuuza uoga, where if you belong to a political party and you're seen with someone who is senior in a party, it actually gives you some bonga points. For us women, if you're going to take pictures with top leaders in a party, the next thing you're going to hear is that, oh, that person is your boyfriend or something like that. And it's really so demoralizing, especially for women. We don't see the same thing happen to men, right? And finance is another factor, but I think for me, by the time I decided to run, I'd already put it in my mind that this place vote parties, and the party that was popular at that time was UDA. And so the end justifies the means. What do? We get to that popular party and fight to get to parliament. From there, we can fight and advance whatever we're fighting for. But then you realize, because of age, I remember at the first ever rally that I went to, I was told that MCAs awaongei, songa kando. And I had to really justify and to explain and to remove my poster to say, you know what, I'm running for MP position, because it was only MPs upwards who were speaking. And I remember confronting one member of parliament from the coast, and I was like, if you go up there, kindly don't speak for the youth and don't say anything about the youth, because you're the one who's pushing me. He went up, spoke. When he came down, he fought for me to get a chance to speak at the podium. And that went on and on and on. And something I realized also in one of the conversations that we had with, I don't know if Bina is aware, but I was in one session where women were being trained and given materials by an organization. And, we were taught so much. And over lunchtime, I had a conversation with a member of parliament, a female member of parliament, and she said, we have this problem of two-third gender rule in parliament, because the men there say that if we are going to pass this rule, don't bring us the old women. So it's how they actually portray, young women in politics, that you're a flower girl. You see a lot of these labelings that, flower girls and all that. And also that reminds me of what I had Millie Mabona talk about, the adjectives that are given to women. If you run and a certain woman is running, you're competing. If Njeri Maina today decides that she doesn't want to be a women rep, she wants to be president, and Martha is running, you will hear a lot of she's jealous. But if the current president is running against Sifuna or against Gashagwa, you will not hear the same things. So those are some of the challenges that we continue to face today. And lastly, patriarchy from my community, and I'll say this, I actually love my dad. But I remember during the campaigns, my dad once vied for the same position years back before stepping down without getting to the final ballot. And when I was running, he only called me twice. One, to ask me who I was supporting for the gubernatorial race, and two, to remind me that I should support someone from my clan. And it got me thinking, if today I won as a Maasai girl, they will talk about, after Paris Tobiko, after Judy Pareno, there is Soina. And I'm sure he will be the first person to dress up and, join me for the swearing in. So it reminds me that we have different challenges, and cultural challenges also cut across for women from my community.
Are you buying this time or not?
As it is now, no.
Okay.
And the reason I say this is because, again, I don't want to be one of the enablers that agree that our politics is likely to remain the same. No. The current generation have actually inspired me and challenged me that one day things will change. But like I said, politics is about parties. And where I come from, our current member of parliament is in a popular party, which is DCP, that is for us in Kajiado North. And so if I am to be careful about finances, if I am to be careful about all those things, if I am to calculate properly, I don't think this is the right time.
All right, thank you very much. Let's clap for her. Shiro, I'm handing it over back to you, but I'd like to recognize the presence of Nadia Ahmed Abdallah, who was actually the youngest Chief Administrative Secretary at the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth. Now, you're nominated to that particular position, Nadia. this is not an elective post, but how was leadership within the system, so to say? And this was during the previous administration.
Thank you, Ian. I literally, okay, didn't want to say anything, but it was tea for tough. It was so tough. And sadly, I didn't get a lot of support from women. Actually, the people who supported me were actually the men. And that also brought a lot of unfortunate conversations, because it was more like, that is Uhuru's girlfriend, that is Musheru's girlfriend, and I was just 29 at that time. I had just turned 29 and I was clueless about what is happening in the government. But I think I also had people who allowed me to lead. I would say that, in the sense that both my former boss, Musheru, and even Uhuru, at first I know the nomination or appointment was more of like, okay, she's a young girl, let's just, rubber stamp, and she was that poster girl. And that was what everyone was calling me. But then I took it upon myself to do the opposite. I made myself very indispensable, especially to the development partners, because I was in a ministry that, as much as, yes, you're there and everything, the reality is, and I think up until now, is that this youth ministry usually doesn't have money. When the budgets are done, money goes everywhere else except to the people who are 75.5% of the country. Mm-hmm. And so I found a strategy to actually work with development partners like the UN, to work with embassies, to get the money and to do the projects that could help young people. And I actually launched one of the largest campaign. It was called Kenya ni Mimi. And the only reason I did that was so that I could change the mindset of young people in Kenya. But I want to highlight something. Everyone was talking and saying, young people this, young people that. But in reality, I think young people and women need to sit down and ask themselves one question. How loyal are you to young people and women? Because within ourselves as young people, you will sit here and talk about, I'm going to go there, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But behind the scenes, everyone is cutting deals. So at the end of the day, when you're seeing a young girl who's coming up and talking about sexual harassment, there's another woman who's saying, no, she took herself there. When you're talking about a young person is not being allowed to lead, or is a bouncer, or is the one who puts up the tent, but there are other young people who are behind the scene enabling that habit. So mine is just sit with yourselves and ask yourself, who are you loyal to actually? Thanks.
Thank you, Nadia, and thank you for allowing me to ambush you. Shiro, I'll take one or two questions before I take it back to you.
Sure.
Allow me, please. Any question? All right. One here, and then I'll come to the back. Please tell us your name and proceed to your question.
I'm Diana Nakesa. I have a question for Bina. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that Bina is one of the people who, through her organization, have been empowered to want to also vie. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so just a quick question. You guys have, sorry for calling you guys. You guys have been talking about the system, right? There is one who has mentioned about the political parties. Now, you guys tell us that we need to align ourselves with established political parties so that we negotiate for power. And now there's another conversation of starting our own political parties, which is a bit hard because we started one. I don't know if you guys know about the NGA, Sijui vile ilikufa, but we really tried. You see, these old people.
Girl.
Sorry. Yeah. I stand. Okay. Okay, sorry. These old people, they have been in power before I was even born, and they're still there up to now. They're still fighting for those leadership positions. First of all, we lack mentorship. I was having this conversation with Mercy in the car when we were coming here. Unajua vile mnakaa na NGOs, they lie that, they will do civic education huko in the village, and yet they are not doing it. We took it upon ourselves, my friends and I. If one of us has a burial, uko ushago, we go and we do the civic education. And we did that. Now, I was talking in like, okay, I'm from Western. I was talking in one of the engagements, and then ikaambiwa, wewe ukitaka kusimama usimame penye utaolewa. Like seriously, God forbid if I even get married. Uko penye. Okay, guys, stop laughing. Msikie kwanza. Uko penye nitaolewa, I will be told to go and vie where I'm coming from.
Yes.
You see, as a woman, it's really hard to navigate these spaces. First of all, I was having a conversation with a lady who's vying for the governor's Siaya, uko kwa youth leader. Then she was saying she's trying to find a deputy governor, which is a bit hard because if she finds an older man, atambiwa, this is her sugar daddy or something.
Oh.
If she looks for a younger man, atambiwa she's dating that man. And yet she needs a man so that she gets support from the men. It's really hard because as much as we are saying women are not coming for these positions, it's really not easy, especially for us as young people and women who are from patriarchal systems. Sasa mimi nishaambiwa nivai penye nitaolewa jamani. And then you see, I was advised that you should try speaking their language. If you don't believe in family, wadanganye that you believe in family, in the concept of all that, because you need the votes, indio.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's really hard for us to navigate. First of all, we don't have support from the older people. They are gatekeeping these opportunities from us. If you, okay, you've gotten the question though. Thank you.
Bina, I'll come to you, Shiro. I'll just take one more at the back here, and then we'll continue the discussion. Please pass over the mic.
You guys are on fire tonight. I have to tell you guys thank you so much for your energy.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Marco Abdubrahim.
Hi.
And hello, I come from Moyale, but I am around currently. Yeah, my sister is very right. It's very hard to form political parties. And you will find many young people now joining these parties, not because even they like how things are done. And if you look at many of these political parties, who are the faces? Current politicians, rich individuals. You cannot see DCP without thinking of Rigathi Gachagua. And I would like to direct this question to both Madam Faith and Honorable Njeri Maina. There are rules, there's constitution and there are provisions of political parties. Someone is elected to a certain seat on a certain party, and then when they disagree with their bosses, they start forming another political party and in fact taking positions in those parties. There is a senator, I have forgotten his name. He's a member of another political party, but actually has a very serious role in another party. And this is a very serious problem because why does the constitution prohibit this? Many resources have gone unaccounted for. So these people take these resources to those parties and they are eyeing seats in the next election. So, madam, you are an advocate and you are a very close ally of DCP party. A person elected to the Senate, the same party you're elected on, is a member or rather has a very serious position, which is inconsistent with both the Constitution and Political Parties Act. Is still there. Why is it that you have not called that out? Because young people, the whole country, we are facing so much problem because of resources are going to these wrong places. And Madam Faith, my sister was saying a lot of things which we can all feel. Linda Mwananchi rallies, you see these same politicians who are already having these seats, taking so much spaces. And you do not, there are many young people who have given so much support to Linda Mwananchi, but we do not hear of their ambitions. We do not see them taking up these positions. I feel like they're being very selfish across. It's all the political parties. It's the opposition, whatever they call themselves. It's by design. They're all very selfish. And many people have given so much support to Linda Mwananchi because of Edwin Sifuna. You can argue that, but when he was on Citizen TV, we had to watch a very painful conversation because he was asked a very simple question, and the senator really sweated. And he was asked this question: "What alternatives are you going to use to solve these issues, because even Ruto is saying we're going to listen to people, and he's even thinking about another vision beyond Vision 2030. Senator starts to say there's a vibe from the top. I will take you to 2002. There was nothing clear that you can say this is what he's going to do. My question is, does Linda Mwananchi have no ideals at all, so that we can start thinking about how we can come up with leaders that they can think on their feet and come up with very viable ideals that's going to change our lives? We're in a very big mess, and we want people that can give us something, because if we just start campaigning for noise, we might find ourselves in much worse situation come 2017. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Shiro,
Right.
are the trumpets louder here or there?
I think he needs
Over
to
to
come.
you.
He needs to come with his saxophone because it's getting louder. So this was for you, Honorable Njeri, and for you, Madam Faith, as well. And I don't know. I don't want to mischaracterize what you asked. So if I mischaracterize it, but they feel very free to jump right back up and set me straight. Okay. So I think she raised the issue of what happens then when, for instance, I got into Senate on a UDA ticket, but now I'm very actively campaigning for another party. And as part of Linda Mwananchi, why hasn't that been called out?
Well, you must know that people have been watching the political season and the political period, and you've seen the games that have been played, taking people to disciplinary committee and the back and forth. Because if you have a different view from your political leader, then you're deemed to be an enemy and you're dealt with thoroughly. And we've seen history of that through the last 15, 20 years. And so a lot of people, some are quiet, but some are coming out to take very strong different views, but they have not resigned from their parties. So as much as they are going on talking about a different party, but they have not announced they have joined this particular party, because people are also watching the law. You must know that you have to be also acquire some bit of wisdom of how you place yourself in a different construct when you're already stuck in one political party, because the law boxes you in. You can't just switch. You remember the law was changed because people, once they got in, would switch and move to different parties, defecting up and down immediately. Yeah. So the laws tried to box people in, but the problem is it limits your right to raise concerns, and there are genuine concerns that someone can have when the party is taking a political position that even at your electorate are against it. So you as an individual, as a leader of that particular people, you want to raise this concern, but you're being told to sing a particular tune. And some, of course, you've seen over the last 1 year have faced the brunt for having taken those different political views. But they can't announce that they have now officially joined another party because they are still stuck in their old party until we get to the level that we can't have another by-election. So there if your party wants to try and expel you, there's no way you lose your seat. Yeah. Because people still want to be able to serve the electorate to a given end. Now, the second question that she asked is about questions that were given in terms of what is clear. There's a political agenda that Linda Mwananchi has. Mm-hmm. And the ethos on the rule of law, constitutionalism, human rights, and also looking at how we are changing the economy are part of the ethos that Linda Mwananchi is running for. And I think Edwin Sifuna did not want to go and release his manifesto at a TV show, because, of course, individuals would want to be able to pick and sneak out what will be your agenda that you'll be able, or your manifesto. But he has been very clear that at the right time, when the party is being launched, all of that will be laid to bear, because you don't want to announce your political manifesto at a TV show before you have had that opportunity to come and announce it first publicly. Then you can go through the motions. But there is a political agenda, and you can see through the nuances of the things he's been saying around in the different engagements that he's been having. And so there are certain you see, politics works also in a particular way because people may want to box you to start talking economic and development agenda so that they can say we are doing this, or you want to do this, but I'm doing this, but I'm doing this. But you know, there are other harder questions. You're saying you're doing this vis-a-vis bringing down the three pillars, the three arms of government. You're doing this vis-a-vis blood of Kenyans. You're doing this vis-a-vis burdening Kenyans with the taxes without having to have some any level of accountability. And so in terms of there being a manifesto and an agenda that will be tabled before the people, it shall be done. I'm sure he's going to give you his full agenda. You give him time so that once there's a clear alignment or clear direction in terms of how we are moving with the party, that will be done and the people will be able to interrogate. And you see, the beauty of even his ethos is he's listening to also the challenges that people are having. And that's part of why the rally is going around the country, to also listen to what the people are saying, their challenges, their struggles, and what they want to see in a new government. What are we hoping for? It's not the blanket promises that he says. He doesn't want to be a hypocrite to say we will do this in 100 days, we will give you 3,000, we will give you 15,000, we will do 1, 2, 3 things without setting an agenda. How shall it be done vis-a-vis the debt crisis that the nation is having? You have to look at what are the challenges we're having, how much in debt have we put our country in, how are we going to pull ourselves from that, because we cannot do it by overtaxing the citizens to be there. And I give this analogy. You cannot, I don't know if you've ever tried sitting in a bucket, and when you're sitting in a bucket with water, you try and pull yourself out. Mm-hmm. The pain and energy to get yourself, you need someone to pull you raise your hand for someone to pull you out of that bucket. So in terms of debt crisis, that is where we are. So even anyone coming up with an economic plan for the country for the next years, you have to take into consideration all these loans that we have taken over time. It's a reality and a challenge that even if Kenyans don't see it now, it will be a challenge that will be borne to you on every loaf of bread, on the cost of electricity, on the cost of fuel that you're going to pay going forward 2027.
All right. Before we continue, I want us to first take a break and look at a piece of a trailer that Badili Africa has worked on, where basically Bina had talked about how the youth and women essentially become collateral damage for the elites. And they have worked on a piece called The Women Kingmakers. And I want us to take a look at the trailer for that right now. If we had the time to watch the whole documentary, it would have been movie night. Sadly, we can't. So here's the trailer.
They are the invisible kingmakers, gathering crowds for politicians while on the campaign trail, pushing their agendas in the community.
Women have been key players right from pre-independence days. We've not appreciated their role in emancipation of this country.
Kuwa mwanamke uingie kwa politics. Kwanza kitu ya kwanza, kuna title moja unapeangwa ya kwanza, wewe ni malaya.
Napenda kumobilize nikitaka at least ni change life ya vijana, life ya wamama.
Niko na members 5,000 na wote tulikuwa tunawaconvince towards a certain politician.
They are kingmakers because of the kings do not have the wherewithal to be able to marshal the support of the population for them to get the votes.
Niseme mimi heshima wenye nimefanyia wote, hakuna mwenye huwa anabaki.
Ni hand to mouth ndio tuna gain kutoka kwa wanasiasa.
Political landscape, it's very violent.
And then, someone tried to pull down my skirt.
In the previous elections, my house was burnt and my bodyguard was killed.
Lakini mimi sikuona hata mtu mmoja akuja kusimama na mimi.
juu kuna wakati hata niliumia tukiwa tu kwa campaign, niliavu kujitibu mimi mwenyewe juu ninge relax tu hivi, ni mimi mwenyewe ningeumia na watoto wangu, bills hakuna mtu angenishughulikia.
Siasa inaishaga hapo, siasa ina deni, siasa kuna mali mnaandikiana.
All right. So, Bina, I don't know if you can, clearly, since as we don't have the time to watch the whole thing, could you give us like the elevator pitch? What is that documentary about?
So first of all, we began by tracking how women have always participated in political spaces. And many a times we track the political participation of female candidates, but then we fail to look at the contribution of politically active women. And it's not like women are not participating in politics. It's just that our participation is confined to political labor. You know, like I said before, you'll find that the strategy, the organizing, whether it's even the dancing, the planning is done by women. But the face of the campaign will be a man, the face of the political party will be a man. But the behind the scene has been done by women. And let me just quickly test one thing, and I think I'll start. Where's Ian? You have the microphone?
Yes, I do.
Let me start with you before you test this for me. Yeah? Tell me something you know about Syokimau.
I know that the SGR station is nearby.
Okay, ask two other people what they know about
He's
Syokimau.
nicer than me.
Peter Kitavi is here with me. Sorry. What do you know about Syokimau?
It's a place that's named after a great Kamba woman.
Oh.
All right.
Ask another person.
Gender balance, 2000 gender rule. Let's see.
What do they know about
What do you know about
Syokimau?
Syokimau?
It has nice houses, affordable houses.
It has affordable houses. There's actually
has
someone who
affordable
stays
houses.
nearby Syokimau, so he might know a lot. Tell us, what do you know more about Syokimau?
It's up and coming. It's a bit access towards is a challenge, I would say, and I think it's almost. I would say it's also cosmopolitan in a way. It's becoming more and more diverse in terms of its inhabitants, and I think one last thing would be it falls under Machakos County, and the governor is Wavinya Ndeti.
Okay, so we're just going to test three women, yeah? To our presenter, what do you know about Muthoni Nanjiru?
Oh, she is a Kikuyu freedom fighter. She went to demand the release of Hari Thuku in 1921 or 1922.
Guys, you see?
Who y'all think you're
Ian,
talking
please
to?
ask a man that. Gender balance.
Gender balance.
Billion, what do you know about Muthoni Nanjiru? Billion is even just trying to shake his head, just like Bina Usichome. Okay, ask another guy.
Shadrach behind the mic, I'm coming to you.
He's running away. Just
He's
ask
running
another
away.
person because it's good for us to learn together.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Johnson Karugu Kafui. What I know about her ni vile tu Shiro Murioki amesema.
Do you want me to test one more?
Just one more.
Alan's is here. Alan Sademba. What do you know about, I'm sorry, what's her name?
Muthoni Nanjiru.
She was Kenyan before she died.
The last woman for me would be Chelagat Mutai. So test Chelagat Mutai. Not the ones who are lifting up their hands, just
Fair.
random.
There's a guy with cool stunners here. Let me come to him.
He was just chilling.
It's Tanners.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's a pass here.
It's a pass.
Yeah.
Another one.
You with the beanie. Has no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, the reason I talk about this is because our history is so rich when it comes to women who've braved this political arena. So when you talk about Syokimau, like people have said, it has affordable housing. Ian was there saying something else. Syokimau was a Kamba medicine woman and a prophetess. And he would predict the war before the Kamba people were attacked so that they can prepare and should even sacrifice on behalf of the Kamba people so that they can win the battle when they're attacked. That's Syokimau. When it comes to Muthoni Nanjiru, when Harry Thuku was arrested, and they were trying to negotiate with the colonialists about his release, so Muthoni Nanjiru was just standing behind, listening, and then they're saying, "No, you guys go home, come back tomorrow." And then they'd selected a small group of people to come and, the way the government or the president always does, select people who can come and talk to us, then they can relay the message to you. And so this man came and said, "You know what? I think we can come back tomorrow." And she was there at the back. And she came to the front and said, "What do you mean we come back tomorrow? We're not going home without Harry Thuku. We are going home with Harry Thuku." And she undressed and said, "Give me your trousers because you're cowards." And Muthoni Nanjiru led the protest against Harry Thuku. And she was the first woman to be shot dead outside the Norfolk Hotel. Yeah. If you read the history of Muthoni Nanjiru, it's only like 2 paragraphs on Wikipedia, but books have been written about Harry Thuku. Now, let me go to Chelagat Mutai, a woman who inspires me a lot. Chelagat Mutai was elected, not nominated, in 1974 at just 24 years. And Chelagat Mutai would push back and speak truth to power, even though the people in power were from her own community, because she was elected MP for Eldoret North. And so half the time she was in political exile because she's speaking truth to power. She's talking about land injustices. She's talking about state excesses against her own community and her own people. And if you've heard about the 7 bearded sisters, it had Akina Nyona, Akina Orengo. It had men, but she was the only woman when it comes to 7 bearded sisters. And until Raila and Orengo, I think, went to pick her from Tanzania, where she had run for political exile, many people didn't know about Chelagat Mutai. Yeah? And so women have always done the work. Always done the work. And that's why I was saying, in this election that we are talking about, in the last election, we were 10 million voters. In this election, we're going to be more. If your priority is not centered even by the MCA, why are you electing them? If your priority is not centered by the MP, sometimes I get so mad when we just talk about, let's say, femicide and start saying why the woman representative is not speaking about femicide. I'm like, what? Why is your MCA not speaking about femicide? Why is your MP not speaking about femicide? We have 47 women representatives, but we have 249 MPs who are mum because we want women to talk about issues affecting women. Why is violence an issue that should just be championed by women? We're already struggling. And GBV doesn't know class. Whether you're rich, you're poor, it cuts across.
Yes.
But I want to combine that briefly, even as I just speak to the lady who was asking a question and say, we can sit here and talk about challenges. But let me tell you, when I look at the history of this country, the people who've championed for the changes we see, they began that journey in their 20s. I get so inspired by Tom Mboya because Tom Mboya was a union organizer at 22. At 23, he was Secretary General for Kenya Federation of Labor Workers. At 27, he was elected in the Legislative Council. At 33, he was negotiating with the people who were negotiating for our independence. At 39, he was assassinated. When I think about Piogama Pinto, who began his activism at 17 years when he was studying in India, when he came back to Kenya, he became a journalist and then a politician, and he was pushing back against the anti-colonial rule. Now, Piogama Pinto was assassinated at 37, and that became the first high-profile case post our independence, because that was in 1965. But they began in their 20s. The Chelagat Mutais in their 20s. And so when I hear people say that we are too young to lead, while the people who began that work began it in their 20s, that narrative contradicts what young people are. And we keep on labeling young people. Oh, they are goons. Oh, they are not ready. So, but the people we are referencing right now as heroes, the tomboyers, they began that journey in their 20s. And I want to say lastly that it's sad that the median age is 19. but the median age of a politician in Africa is 63 years. And so it speaks to your point when you talk about the older generation. And we're not saying that the older generation should step aside. But what we are saying is we have to find ways of leading together. Because when the bulk of the leaders are in their 60s, it means that their experiences are so different from the experiences of young people.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we have to figure out, how does intergenerational core leadership look like in this particular era? How can the older generation bring their wisdom and their experience, while the young people bring their ideas, the innovation, and their lived realities? Thanks.
Javas, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I would say that agreeing, of course, with Madam Bina, whom I've been fortunate to know for quite some time,
Mm-hmm.
the reductivism that young people are not positioned and ready to lead is part of the coached conspiracy to keep young people out of power, out of leadership, out of opportunity. And that's why it's very important for us to thrust ourselves into epistemic functionalism of ideological driven politics and power.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather Samson, he's now dead, told me a few things when I was growing up, that Javas, whenever you attend a meeting, never let that meeting to end before you speak. But when you speak, make sure that you'll be remembered for it.
Yeah.
Of course, even if this meeting ends, I've spoken. But I appreciate the questions that have been asked by the two ladies, because even when I finished university,
Yeah.
the opportunities that I first knocked myself onto were because I had the courage to stand up and just even ask an important question. But look, I am not here tonight because I want us to have a discussion that we are agreeing on everything. I did not come here to agree.
Yes.
We need to stir ourselves up thoroughly. First, let me ask, just all of us gathered here tonight,
Mm-hmm.
how many of us here have ever taken a bribe? Be sincere that if the Son of Man was to land here right now, you'd go to heaven.
Taken or given?
Taken a bribe,
Okay.
or even given a bribe. Yeah. Now, almost everybody, I've gone around this country, and when you ask that question, you realize that there is no saint, there's no angel. Of course, we're not looking for angels.
Yes.
The point I'm driving to is that many times we lie to ourselves so much
Uh-huh.
that we expect values and quality from other people, but not from ourselves. It must start with us. The Son of Man, for whose second return we are waiting, I can say here with certainty that I've never taken a bribe or given one.
Hallelujah.
I have quit my second job. I quit my second job when I think I was just 25 and a half or 26.
Yeah.
At that time, I was having my first master's degree because I was being pushed to write a report for an organization, an NGO at the time, to falsify information so that we can get funding. I quit the job.
Yeah.
And 3 years later, that ED of that organization, when he came, when we ran into each other, himself, he called out that I come to say hi to him. To this day, he respects me. He's a known person. He respects me so much because of that. Standing on the ground of principle
Yes.
and values. And that's why, of course, where would I disagree with President Faith Odhiambo, is the question that was asked by my relative there from Moyale about the issue of a politician being elected on this party. Before the next election cycle, they are advocating for another party while still tethered to the party that sponsored them to parliament. Now, when we agree with that kind of trend, we are deceiving to ourselves factually that actually we are running and agreeing with the politics without principle. That actually, if you don't believe in that party, heck, resign. Heck, resign. And then, even for us young people, of course, many of you are slightly younger than myself, you may agree that there are those of you who today are supporting a particular political leader
Yes.
or a political party, yet you have no idea on this earth what they are fighting for or against. Maybe just because somebody comes from your region or your tribe. I always say that while I don't hate my tribe, it's a sociological function and reality, but my tribe has never even bought me a shirt. It doesn't help me. It must not make us hate, dislike. Today, you may find many young people who hate somebody who is supporting a particular politician, and not based on ideology, just because that person is supporting the other person.
Yeah.
And so with the leadership, respected and venerated leadership, for example, of President Faith, and I pray that you go to Parliament for the seat that you are seeking, and you're one of the most principled people, I think it's important that we must have the courage to call out politicians who do not believe in principle and values.
Okay.
As I tie the end of note of this argument, are we miseducated? Are the young people in this country miseducated?
I believe so.
Because Carter Woodson, writing in 1933, the book titled The Miseducation of the Negro, argued that the Negro was psychologically and culturally miseducated to kowtow to sustain white supremacy. Today, do you know that when you look at the issue of tribalism, when you look at the issue of regionalism, when you look at our averseness to even reading,
The anti-intellectualism.
you realize that chances are we are miseducated and to that extent a bit dysfunctional. Not all of us, many people, not just young people, even people of fair age.
Yeah.
And that's why you find somebody is elected as governor because he has the money, gets into office, they have no idea what to do there. Somebody is running for a seat of senator and tells a people, including young people, that I'll make sure that I construct the road from here to here. A senator. Do you know the function of a senator? You're saying you'll construct a road. All right?
Yeah.
You're a woman rep, and for example, Mheshimiwa Njeria, and I'm not using her example because she understands governance and the law, she's telling people that I'll make sure that every house here has got electricity when you vote for me. Without, for example, saying that working with the governor or with the national government, I will make sure I lobby for ABCD to happen.
Yeah.
And so we must start asking difficult questions. Do we know the functions of every political office for which we are going to vote? Look at 2024, the Gen Z uprising, and 2025, etc., and whatnot. Today, as the lady here spoke,
Yes.
I think she comes from my neighborhood, back where my umbilical cord was buried. She said that people are ready to vote to ensure that we change leadership.
Okay, Java.
From what
So
to what? Yes, as I
we have
finish.
a bit of
From
time,
what to
yeah.
what? Why can't we, disagreeing with the particular leadership of a particular person, say that I am running for this seat, than changing from this particular old man to the other old man? The same way the people of Cameroon have kept a 95-year-old in office to death, waiting
Wow.
for Jesus.
I'll
All
push
right.
back on
There was a
Java
question.
in this time.
So
I
there's
also want to
something.
say something. There's a question.
No, there's actually there's something that I want to put to you, Honorable Njeri, which is actually something that a
Does it
question has
pertain
been
the
asked.
question?
Yes, it does pertain the question because you are the women's rep of Kirinyaga County. You are now very publicly aligned with the DCP party, but that is not the party that took you to the National Assembly. So what do you have to say to that?
I actually wanted to respond to it. I think
Yeah.
I've spoken about that more times recently than I
Yes.
can recall. And let me just give to you the political realities from the perspective of an elected MP. I had no intention whatsoever to think that within the 5 years of UDA gaining power and running government, that I would find myself so conflicted in terms of my ideology and what I believed the party at the time when I was joining it was purporting to sell to the Kenyan people and the translation of that in terms of the tangibles. So I find myself in a reality in 2024. You've had Faith say something called party position. So a party position is not something that you're even allowed to question if you belong to a certain political party in Kenya. And that is one of the responsibility of you being sponsored by the party to be elected on their ticket. So the party position was that the finance bill vote would be yes for UDA. I had canvassed, I had conversations with my citizens that I represent, and the position for them was no. I'd spoken, of course, to the Kenyan youth, and I knew the frustrations of the nation at the time. So I thought to myself, at this point, what do I do? Do I vote my party position, which is yes? Do I represent my people and vote no and represent the young people of Kenya? Certainly, and I think some of you here might know, I had a very close relationship with the president in terms of mentor-mentee. You know, I would spend some evenings at State House, we'd travel when he was traveling across the country, just to get a gist of how politics is like. But then I asked myself, I was sponsored by UDA, yes, to get to parliament, but I have to represent my people and the Kenyan youth, and I voted no. So are you telling me, when you say that we should, represent the ideology of the party, when the party deviates from the ideologies it was representing when forming government, then how do you expect the politician at that instance in time to respond? Because you have the conflicting position, your own personal position, you have the position of the party, you have the position of the people. The political reality is that you have to balance the three. Some of those realities came at a cost. I was sponsored by UDA. Of course, I lost access to State House. I lost access to my committees. I was de-whipped to a committee that barely meets. I lost travel allowances, which I was okay to lose as long as I was representing my people. Then comes the question that you're saying that, the law expects that if I'm propagating ideologies of another party, that it expects me to resign and seek a fresh mandate. But then you also ask yourself, we are saying that we want to be prudent politicians. Does the Kenyan taxpayer have the money to foot the bill for a county election? 200 million, 150 million. Would I be doing justice just 1 year to the general election to seek a fresh mandate to further burden the taxpayer? So I think we sometimes look at things as if they're black and white, and they're not in politics. They are realities that we have to be alive to. Would you have preferred that I go with my party position, vote for the finance bill? Or would you have preferred that even though I am a UDA elected MP, that I stand with the people who actually sent me to parliament? And I think the issue is our parties in Kenya. We don't have parties that are built on ideologies. They are built around personalities. Let's be honest. We had ODM. When Baba rested, God rest his soul in peace, we have seen what has become of the party. Go to a country like the US. You have the Republicans and the Democrats. Everybody knows that from a very onset, the sociological engineering of the country's politics is centered around that. It is actually parties that have values that people buy into. But the parties in Kenya form government, change whatever ideologies that gave them the platform to form government, but then expect that the politicians will continue towing the line in terms of a geopolitical narrative that has now shifted.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're also thinking, how am I going to survive as a career progression, as a representative of the people? So there are these realities that sometimes we want to pretend that we're not alive to. I know my good sister comes from Moyale, a county where to date, you find that people are voting based on clanism. So we have these realities that we want to pretend do not exist, but yet they do. They don't exist in a vacuum. As a Kenyan voter, like Javas has asked you, what is also your responsibility? Are you going to actually interrogate the politician you're supporting from the MCA to the presidential level? Are you going to have what we call confirmation bias, where you do not want to hear a challenging narrative or point of view about a politician that you idolize or you are supporting at the time? So it is important that we have these conversations so we can hear your perspective and you can also hear the political realities on the ground. Look, for example, at Edwin Sifuna. Was he supposed to continue championing for the interest of the larger broad-based government? Because now, quote unquote, ODM is in government. It is the factual situation. Or was he supposed to now feel, well, I am a representative of the people. The people are saying that this is not the way to represent us on Senate or on the floor, the ideologies and everything. And we feel that you should maybe shift and see whether you can have a political formation that can give hope to the Kenyan people and bring in new leadership. So we have these conflicting situations and it's never black and white.
Okay. So you're saying there's a lot of nuance to be applied here.
And I would like to add something to that, because you know the realities that we're living in. Just look at independence of parliament. A lot of young people reached out to their individual members of parliament in 2024, calling them out and telling them not to vote for the finance bill. There are individuals that ended up voting for the finance bill and they could not step into their home states. They could not step into their home areas because the electorate rebelled against them and rejected them. However, if you see the documentaries and the stories that came out later, a lot of them were saying, even if they have rejected me, we have been promised enough money. In the next election, we will pour out this money and they will accept us. And this is the reality and the challenge. And I stand by those who have kept their positions, even if they have disagreed with their political parties. And why do I say this? Because the law was changed to fix people into a political party construct, that you follow the political party ideology, vis-a-vis the independence that Parliament used to have. You see, even if they didn't like the ability of members of Parliament to change allegiances, it helped because we could not have finance bills just passing and budgets passing the way they do today. That you're seeing confidential vote in billions of shillings with no interrogation, no question, no proper debate. Laws that pass in less than 2 weeks. People agree to meet overnight early in the morning to pass the finance bill because they know Gen Zs are coming to the streets. Those would not have been possible if we had independent members of parliament that could be able to stand on individual principle and what they believe in. Because you'd be able to interrogate, it is not dependent on what my political party, because the political party has political party structures to discipline you. She has explained to you how she lost positions. And we have seen members of even ODM who have lost various positions because of taking a divergent view. But they're taking divergent views based on what the electorate wants. And I advocate even for the change of the law that people should be able to change where their political allegiances lie based on what the people want. Because even right now, we have areas that are being zoned off, saying if you're not in this political party, you are not getting in. You have said you cannot vie because your member of parliament has aligned himself. But if the reality is today, those members, some of them will join given political parties because they want survivorship. Young people who want to join in will join those political parties for purposes of surviving and getting in. But later on, they are conflicted because of what the electorate are demanding. Do we say that they then vote as we vote like cows and say, because the political party has said this way, let us go this way? Let us forget the pain and the pinch that our people are feeling. Let's forget about thinking about alternatives to better policies, better laws, better opportunities for our people. We must look at it critically and think about independence of parliament. Because an independent parliament would not be able to have a greater check on the executive. Because we have seen the executive go stand with members of parliament for their party, make a decision, and it's implemented the exact same way in the August House. Things that we never used to see before. as a nation, as a country, I think people should have principles that they stand by. That even if it means disagreeing with your political party, you must. We have seen nominated members who were removed in record time because they opposed the position of their party, but they had principles they wanted to stand by. We need to change the law. I advocate for changing the law. You need to have independence of parliamentarian. Tomorrow we vote for you as a young person. You get into parliament. Your party tells you you must follow this line. Your electorate are telling you, what did we vote for you to do? Those are the hard questions we must ask ourselves.
Javas, I can see you
Yeah.
itching,
Now-
but we
now-
are so
I know we're
ready
pressed for time,
Yes.
but let's face it. Why should we change the law to suit politicians? Why should we? We must have laws that serve the people and serve the country.
Yes.
So if we're to change the law so that a politician can be voted into a parliament through this party, shift alliances and retain, I mean, really, the taproot of democracy should be principle and values. And President Faith has talked about constitutionalism, liberalism, and justice.
Yes.
Justice. And that's why when somebody is running for office, when a presidential candidate is on set on television, and you are asked what is it that you have as alternatives, they're not asking you to present a manifesto. They're asking you what you believe in. What ideas you have as a person, not a political party.
Shiro, there's
Yes.
a protest on the floor.
Yeah, I can see.
She's not sitting down until I give her
Yes,
the mic.
there's small mandamano. Our sister from Moyale.
Yes, it's me again, Marco Abdul Ibrahim from Moyale. Madam, I have heard you. You said that there is reality that we do not see, that things are not black and white. You may have been sponsored by UDA, but you are not entirely a member of parliament because of UDA. The people of, is it Kirinyaga County? They elected you. So if there's anyone that will decide if you will leave that house, those people. So you say that there is a party position, and if you do not go as they wish, you will lose some positions. But you can never lose the position of being a member of parliament. So if you've gone there and find that the party has shifted from the manifesto on which they were elected on, well, we expect that you will lobby other members of parliament whose visions, ideas align with that of the people and call for impeachment of this president. And it was the finance bill of the president. You have seen many young people who do not even have any salary. We do not have anything. We have been going to the street. We have been fighting. We have been calling for the president to go, but you will always have your salary. You're talking so much about losing position, allowances. I think you are forgetting how you ended up in that place.
I think, allow me to respond to that.
Shiro, allow me to take...
Allow me to
Okay.
respond to that. And it's okay, you're clapping. Because that means we are having a conversation. I do think you have largely missed my point. And I did explain and say that these decisions that we make that are against the party come at a price. So if we were actually serving our interests, do you think I would make a decision to cost my personal interest if I were looking to cater for my personal interest? Do you think that? Is that what you think? Certainly not. If I were thinking about catering to my interest, retaining my parliamentary committee allowances, my travel allowances, I would have thought about voting with the party position to keep them. So what I was saying is that, or rather what you missed is that, I just gave you an example that if you do not follow the party position, it comes at a price. And I chose to pay the price unapologetically for my people because they are the ones who voted for me.
Yes.
Shiro, we have Davis here.
Yes, we can now take a couple more questions.
Thank you. My name is Davis Osiemo.
Hi.
I'm a law student and also I'm an aspiring member of the county assembly.
Okay.
I think on this one, thank you. I think on this one, I'll have to support the Honorable Njeri Maina.
Okay.
I say this because there's political reality and there's what we want to have. What we want to have is whereby people stay within their parties for the period that they are elected. And if they want to change, they change during the next cycle. But even as a young aspirant, I'll tell you for a fact that if you come from a particular region, our politics is not based on political ideologies, rather persons. For instance, if you come from Mount Kenya, Gachagua and DCP right now have a big say. If you come from where I come, Kisii, Jubilee, and Matiang'i has a say. So that is one. Number two, the issue of that you are voting based on rather self-preservation, I don't think that is the case. Because the party will tell you, we want you to vote this way. But you see, the honorable member was forced to take a decision that I have to represent the people. And then now the political party ostracizes you. It's like now you are an outsider in your own party. So you have to navigate the reality, like, this is the Kenya we want to live in, but these are the challenges you face as a leader. And I can tell you as a young person, young people, you expect that as a young person, most of your support will be from young people. And I'll tell you, sometimes I'm telling some of my friends that I'm doing this thing and they're like, but if I help you, you are the only one who unatoka a block. So inanisaidia aje. And you can imagine that is a young person like you. So there are a lot of challenges, and I'll be very honest. And also another issue that you have is even your family member will be like, why do you want to vie? You are young, you can do it the next time. So there are a lot of challenges. And I think lastly, my question would be accessibility of mentorship in political sphere. That is a challenge that I have faced. But if I can get that, I feel like there's also some bit of, it can make a change in helping young people get a platform. Thank you.
All right.
All right, thanks. I'll take one more here and then I go to that side.
Okay.
Please tell us your name and then go to your question. Keep it brief.
My good name is Ken Babu. I think I've interacted with many young people here. I am the DCP senatorial candidate, Nairobi County. I want to say this. When it comes to issue, and I want to focus on the issue of party position. Many young people are saying that wow ni Sifuna, and it's a good one. Nyinyi ni Sifuna. That's good. But the Sifuna faction are saying that they have to work with Rigathi Gachagua for them to take William Ruto home. That is the position of that faction. So if Sifuna was to work with Rigathi Gachagua as the position of that party, will you vote for Sifuna still? You will vote for him. Then it means you are aligning with the party position that Sifuna is taking. Isn't you? So it's a conversation that we must be open to and agree how are you going to engage going forward. Secondly, on the issue of mentorship, my brother Njeri Maina is there and she's running a very good mentorship for young people. I think Wakili, you'll have to sign this new player. The issue of mentorship is a very critical one. And recently, I was having a conversation with a young lady who is a very good friend of Faith Odhiambo. And our issue was, there's a post of Linda Mwananchi that was released. And there wasn't any woman. So she posted the post and said, wanawake wamewachwa nje. We cannot allow. We are going to stop Sifuna. So I asked her, where is Faith? Where is Pauline? Where is the other ladies who have been there? And she told me that they were denied the opportunity. So I'm wondering if it's true that they were denied the opportunity. So how are the young ladies who believes that they can only survive in Linda Mwananchi if Faith is there going to survive, like my sister Togo? What I'm saying is this. Mentorship is extensively, and it's wide. I don't think it has got age limits. I believe I can equally mentor that Faith. Because Faith is a former president, hata mimi nilikuwa rais ya wanafunzi. So we can, like, mentorship is an exchange. What I'm saying is we need to look into what can we pick from somebody. Me, I've been mentored by Njeri Maina, but I think there's a lot to learn from her. But when it comes to organizing ground, kuchapa watu viboko, she can learn something from me. What I'm saying as I learned, we the young people, and Java said that we are the crusaders and we are everything that was said. It is true. I want to put it to political party players. Because even for my brother Billion to get the ticket at UDA at that time, I know, because I was in UDA, hiyo wakati, and I ran for an MCA seat in Karen. I was number 4 in the nominations at UDA. And after that, let me just finish. I'm just putting a background. After that nomination, I want to tell you guys, nomination, I was the youngest person. I ran I became number 4, and nobody even thought about me. And the people who were given priority were old guys who were nowhere to be seen at that time. Tukaambiwa, hiyo lori ulikuwa napanda, ilikuwa ya huyo mzee. So, nyinyi mko na access to party leaders, waambieni hata wakileta hizo lori, they should consider wale watu wana dance kwa hizo lori pia. Thank you.
Shiro, let me just address something briefly.
Yes,
yeah, because just also pushing back, because I think Javas knows the truth, but on this particular platform, he's also refusing to acknowledge reality ground. But we'll address it afterwards so that we don't overextend. But let me say
this will take another 2 hours.
Yes,
which
yes,
I
yes.
wish we had, by the way.
Let me say this because there are also guys here who've run for political office. You know, there's a bit of a misconception that power, when it comes to political power, that is won on election day. And that is not true. There are people who are organizing right now on who is going to be a gubernatorial candidate currently. Most political party leaders know who they want to support for the gubernatorial race, whether in Nairobi. They're already planning. They're already trying to shape narratives. They're already trying to raise resources. You can say all you want to say even about the DCP president. You know, oh, he's very tribal, but he knows, me, I have to cover my base. So every day you'll call him out, but he wakes up with one agenda. Listen, this guy's betrayed us. This guy's did this. He's shaping public narrative around his community because he can only negotiate if he's able to say, me, I'm coming with 6 million votes. You, how many votes are you coming with? So every other day, the political players are organizing the political terrain. Next year, we're going to go to the primaries. The primaries, the candidates on the nomination list are being decided now. In 2017, you might have had the best candidate that you think is going to be the best governor in Nairobi. But once the government, let's say, decided to back Kidero, the opposition has to think, who can unseat Kidero? And they're not looking at the most value-based person. They're looking at who can garner numbers enough to unseat Kidero. That's how Sonko was pulled in. Not because he's has values that speak to us, but they realized this guy has been able to consolidate the community. Ako na pesa yake. So number one, anaweza leta numbers. How many guys remember how many votes Sonko got? How many? Sonko got 800,000 votes. Actually, 871,000 votes.
He got
More
Nairobi
votes,
County than the
more
president.
votes than the Nairobi voters gave the president.
Yeah.
So the person you want to support, away from even having the values that we're talking about, how are you going to help that candidate build that power? And I think my parting shot, even to us today, is number one, and if there's time, even a moment, I'd like even the incoming Madare MP here to talk about how many meetings even politicians have behind the scenes. And they're traversing. You'll find a DCP candidate, they're traversing, sitting, having conversations with UDA. They're trying to broker and see, where do I run? And it's not even based on, I think I can make a good MP. They're like, what do the numbers say? Just today, we were discussing the politics of 2 constituencies. And we were like, but this tribe is the one that ensures someone is MP in this area. We didn't begin with which values. We began with the numbers of that constituency. And then for you to be MP here, number one, you must get backing from this particular community. That is the math that we are also not doing. So if, let's say, Ademba is running for office today, if Odero is running for office today, you know very well that he might not even have the backing of people in your own community. And so how are we building power in our own spaces? And I'll give a quick anecdote. So for us, let's say at Badili, our political conversations are within chamas because that is our bandwidth. We don't have the bandwidth to talk to everyone in the country, but we've ensured in every salon we're having a political conversation. So even when you hear us having initiatives like transformative gossip, it's because as we are realizing, how do I ensure the salon conversation speaks to women's vote? How can the women in the salon understand XYZ? So how can your gym members understand that the candidate you want to support in the next election is this particular person? Because if we don't have money to give the young candidates that are coming in? How do we mobilize support for them? Because even the political party leaders who are going to come into the community, watasema they've done a polling, kusikiza ground. Now, kusikiza ground, na jina yako haiko hapo, you're going to be competing with whether UDA, DCP, ODM, particular, whatever candidate, because you've not built your numbers. So for me, I'll say, build political power from your community. Then you'll negotiate and agenda set, even if the most popular party is whichever party that you don't support. You'll be able to agenda set and negotiate.
Okay. I think that should serve as your parting shot.
It is.
All right.
It is.
So I'm going to give...
just to mention, we have about 9 minutes to the top
yes,
of the hour.
Yes, and we have to be out of here.
to
So
sit down.
I'm actually going to give the three other members of our esteemed panel just a minute. It's hard, but a minute to give your parting shot.
I'm
I'll
wondering,
start with
should
you.
we start with here with our guests and then we come
Yes,
to the front?
yeah.
Please.
Thank you. I think for me, it's just to speak to the youth, because I understand Sauti session is not just a session that is watched by only the Kenyan youth, but
Yes.
by the youth of Africa. Next week is International Youth Day on Wednesday. And we have been reminded here that Africa is the youngest continent in the world. So what I want us to do is to stop looking at that as just a demographic statistic, but to look at that as our power, and to understand that the theme is different context, similar, different context. Let me just check. It's different context, common aspirations. And so for me, this reminds us that as young people, we come from different communities, different backgrounds, different experiences, but we all have common aspirations. We all want to have a voice. We all want to contribute to the building the future we want. So as we head to elections, as young people, we should not just look at participating in this democratic process, but shaping the future that we want as a society.
Thank you so
Let's
much,
clap for her,
Zoina.
please.
Okay.
Very briefly, Derek.
So, to my young people, first of all, why am I running for a member of parliament seat as an independent candidate? Because it's proven time to time again that I've said 60 years running down the line, Kenya never gained full independence. Kenya is still a colonial contraption. And that is why when the high leaders, the president is coming out and just launching ideas like the Vision 2030, then you see days Ndoyo Suluhu amekuja na launch Vision 2060. You know we are cooked. Our politics is majorly a distraction from the things that we really have to put our focus on.
Yeah.
So you young people, just know that we have to organize ourselves. And what's most unfortunate is that the smartest from our lot are casually robbed from us, going to the other side to wave other flags or to confuse us. I'm here to just tell you that we know you, we see you guys, and we know what you do, and it's unfortunate. Can you please just stop that? Can we maybe reach at a point where we'll talk about the things that really matter, like, members of parliament, not saying one term, two term, members of parliament are the ones who pass these policies. Before tuseme, tunataka Ruto atoke, Ruto must go. Tuko na numbers hapo kwa MPs, our MPs wenyewe, tunawatoa, sisi kama young people, we are not doing that. It's so unfortunate, you guys, itabidi mmefunguka macho because we are at a colonial contraption and hii story itaendelea kukua hivyo. Our mainstream, DCP, UDA, nani, wataendelea tu kushika hivyo.
Thank you.
Now.
Thank you, Derek.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think we've been talking about politicians. It's our collective responsibility to make sure that we vote the right people and also be part of the political engagements. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Back to you, Cheryl.
All right. Madam Faith, your parting shots.
So first I want to respond to something that was said about posters. Everyone makes posters. So if you feel that your ability to be seen is based only on a poster, then that's a joke. And secondly, I don't know who told you that, because people make their own posters how they want. If you see my social media spaces, I either just use the plain poster or I use a poster using my face, and some put themselves at the top. I think you've seen how people make their own personal posters. And even to say, since I joined Linda, we have seen many more women are now joining Linda Mwananchi. So I can assure you, with faith, you're in a safe pair of hands. You can join as many as you want. But lastly, what I want to say is that I had one of the aspiring members of County Assembly talking about the youth not supporting one another. And, you know, if you have been told today that the median age is 19, and almost about 60 to 70% fall within the youth bracket. And so the question is, why don't we believe in ourselves to be able to vote for people that we think can make the difference for us as young people, as individuals that you're looking for hope? Because if you believe in politics of not giving money, then you ought to have politics of policies and politics of believing in issues that you can bring you together. Someone that you can call and be able to hold them accountable when they go to that political position. We have seen young people getting into political spaces, some getting their first suit or even going to parliament, the first August swearing with a matatu. And what's the problem with that? Because we see in other countries, people ride bicycles, get into the common train like any other person to get to parliament. So we must also deconstruct and rethink. I remember during the Gen Z period, others were calling themselves Gonzis, that they're also looking for money the way the Gen Zs are looking for money. And it's because politicians realized a way to divide the strength in numbers of the youth by saying, you don't have money, these are the haves. But if you saw the numbers who are being arrested, those who are sleeping in police cells, they were both those who are affluent and those who aren't. And people stayed together and said, if you're not releasing these ones, we're also not coming out.
Yes.
So if people can make such a stand, then you can also make those political stands as individuals. You're seeing young people coming out. If they support the same policies that you believe in, hold their hands, support them, walk with them, so that you can also hold them accountable to continue keeping that vision that they are sure that if I get into parliament and I disagree with my political party, I can even resign, knowing that these people, I will go with another independent party and bring me back into parliament. But if you're not able to assure those young people, that is the power that you'll be able to hold, so that individuals who hold parties as ransoms will know it is not because of the political party. It's because of this electorate who put me there that I'm able to fight for these policies, that it doesn't matter if I resign from my party. Leave resigning from or being removed from committees. But if you resign from a party, you know that the backing that you have, irrespective of the money poured, you will be able to continue fighting for the rights of your people. Thank you.
All right, Honorable Jerry Minor, your final parting shot.
I think there are only two ways for me for young people to be in government or to participate. You're either in the system or you run the system. Clearly, young people don't run the system because of the systemic exclusion and the lack of resources because of time. So I want to ask as many young people to offer themselves up for leadership. You want the change? Then be the candidate. Sell your ideologies to the people. Traverse that county, that constituency, that assembly ward, and believe in your candidacy and implore other people to join on and make sure that the political class, or quote unquote the status quo, do not kill your dream. Get up to the ballot. If you lose that nomination ticket, go as an independent candidate and be in the system so that we can bring about change. And I think to thank all of you for listening in. And let us always have these conversations and let us listen to one another, exchange ideas so that we can have a better Kenya for all of us.
And finally, Mr. Javas Bigambo.
Well, hear me to the last that you may be the better judge. Shakespeare speaks to us through Cordelia in the play King Lear
Yes.
that we are not the first who, with the best intention, have incurred the worst. It is important for us to reject the normalization of mediocrity in leadership, leadership without ideas, leadership that is mobilizing around matters tribe or regionalism. In the end, it will not serve you when they get into office. Secondly, there is nobody who has a house that will go to burn another person's house. They know the value of putting up a house. There's no person who has bought a vehicle who will go to burn somebody else's vehicle. Young people should reject violence or being used for political expediency to meet the interests of the political elites. And because we can make that decision, we can agree that, and somebody once said that we left home to change home. When you leave your home to go to the polling station, vote for change. We cannot say that it is okay that there is a reality that we aspire to, but there's the reality that we must live in and embrace, and then say that we will move forward. No, we won't. I think time has come. Indeed, it is here that we must choose leaders that make sense, leaders based on principle. We must choose political parties that tell us where we want to go ideologically. But let us get to the ballot, as Mheshimiwa Njeria said. Let us run for office, whatever seat it is. But also don't believe in a leader who has no idea what they want to do once elected. We want better roads. We want dams. We want food security. I think we want to move forward. And if we believe that's where we want to go, then let us believe in leaders who are driven by ideas, not tribalism, not regionalism. You will be relieved to know that my remarks have come to an end.
Yep. English. I don't know what language I speak. I know I don't speak that language. And also, you will share with me your reading list after this. Yeah. I want you, the list of books you've quoted today. Thank you so much. Before we end, I want us to take a look at a video. And the person who is in this video is one of the icons, the female icons of Kenya's democracy. That is Martha Karua, and she's going to be talking about why representation alone isn't enough. Let's take a look.
While we're on the topic of women and politics, and particularly in Kenya, it's been 30 plus years, I think, since Beijing.
Yeah.
Do you feel like things have changed? Are we getting more of the same, or we're getting closer to where we would want to be when it comes to women and governance and politics?
Definitely things have changed, but in some aspects, the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Yeah.
Firstly, we have women everywhere. In the county governments, we have women in other appointive roles. It may not be in the exact numbers the Constitution dictates.
Yeah.
But now leadership of women alongside men is something that has permeated our society. We must continue to make it the normal, not the exception. And I must say this came before the 2010 Constitution, because in the IPPG reforms in 1997, we amended the Constitution to decree that the nominated seats, 12 nominated seats in Parliament, will be shared equally. There will be gender parity, which means equality in sharing. And we said this will be followed in the local authorities. So after the 97 elections, in every corner of Kenya, there were women nominated to the local authorities.
Yes.
Come 2010, and we entrenched this in the Constitution and put the not more than two-thirds gender rule.
Yeah.
We've moved this far, but we have again abused those provisions of the Constitution when male-led parties nominate women, not to serve women, but to serve their cause.
Yes.
So you have more women in Parliament, focusing less on issues affecting women than when we were just 6 or 22, because the Constitution came when we were 22 women. Now we have about 70 something when you combine all women's seats, and you don't see that. But I want to quickly say this. I don't want to blame the women only. Although the women, it should be a subject closer to their hearts than to anybody else.
Yes.
I want to say every elected person, representative, is a woman's representative
Yes.
to the extent that half their constituency is women.
What advice would you give a young person, or even not a young person, any woman, when it comes to self-doubt? What advice would you be dispensing?
I think believe in yourself. Define yourself. Don't let others define you. Always jiite kamkutano kadogo ndani yako. If you're hesitant about an issue, call yourself to that internal meeting and you will surely find what you want, and do never doubt your qualifications. If you're a professional, you are as well trained as any other. Execute your duties from your own belief of what you should do. Just be professional. Nothing wrong in asking. There are things we ask, we consult, but there are things, decisions that only you can make.
Yes.
All right, we also have to say a big thank you to Daisy Maritim, who is the young lady that has interviewed the Honorable Martha Karua. Now, before we release Madam Faith here, I want you to tell us about your initiative, Buddies na Ballot.
Buddies na Ballot is not my personal initiative. Jerry is here as well. She's part of it.
Yeah.
Bina as well is part of it. Nerima, who is not in the room, is part of it. Zaha as well. Tunajiita mkutano wanawake. You know, I like something that Bina said, that we cannot be saying that women make the highest percentage of voters, and yet we are not at the center of the decision making, nor are the policies surrounding women at the center. So tunajiita mkutano, be it whichever political party you serve. We want to come together, whether in a political party or not. We'll have a women's rally. Ballot na Buddies, Mama Boma, come together on the 24th of this month. We are having a rallying call, raising awareness, asking more of our women to come out and vote. But most importantly, we'll be creating a wave with regards to women being at the center. We no longer want colorful manifestos that promise us heaven, and yet we keep on finding ourselves in the 20% in terms of appointments, 20% in terms of nominations. We want to have that equal say. Women should not be left at the labor side. We should be also at the decision-making side. And so I'm calling each and every one of you, all ladies, on the 24th, we'll be having a rallying call. This is not about any political party. It's about the Women's Party. So please, don't miss it.
No, before I let you go, you know me, I'm a journalist, so I have to get the tea here first. So your candidature, rumored candidature, was actually not announced by you, but by Siaya Senator James Orengo. So are you running, yes or no?
I will announce at the right time. I will call you for my own launch at the right time. So for now, the tea that we have is we'll be sharing posters once we get approval on the given venue, because there's a particular venue we want, because we were thinking about security of our women, which is quite integral and important. So the posters will come out soon telling you the venue, but please mark the date. 24th of this month, it's our time.
Yay, all right. And just like that, we have come to the end of tonight's program, but not before I give a quick vote of thanks to our partners, Baraza Media Lab, the reason we're all here today. So let's give Baraza Media Lab a hand. Let's also give CJP Productions a massive hand. I'm sure you're seeing the crew, who are made up of mainly women. So, hey, give them a hand. We're standing on business here. And finally, Ian, don't look at me. I'll do it. We have to give our founder, Ian Wafula, a hand, because he's the reason Sauti sessions exist. So thank you so much to Ian Wafula as well. Now, is there any other way? So Zia Africa, You might have known him by another name on social media, but he now goes by Zia Africa, is coming to put a full stop on this fantastic night of art and conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, Zia Africa.
Shiro, thank you, Shiro. Yeah. Mkofiti, mnacheki drip. Uko nyuma, can you see my drip? Mani karibia muone. First of all, Mr. Javas, hear it as it may. I want to be disgustingly wise as you. Yeah, and tuanze. Yeah. But thank you so much, Ian. This was such a good session. We're gonna do a set with Brennan. And yeah, msikize song. There's some good songs. These are my songs. The first one is my song.
I want that reading. Thank you so much.
Si ulikuwa kwangu jana, sasa wajifanya hunijui. Ulilala kwa kitanda yangu, sasa wajifanya. One more time. Si ulikuwa kwangu jana, sasa wajifanya hunijui. Ulilala kwa kitanda yangu, sasa wajifanya hunioni. Kama ni one night stand, baby niambie. Kama ni game pia niambie, yeah. Kama ni siri yetu niambie. Kama ni jana tu, basi nisahau. I taste you on my lips, but you walk like you forgot. Ulikuwa kwangu jana. Yeah, ulikuwa kwangu jana. Unaniona unajifanya hata unijui. Ulilala kwa kitanda yangu, sasa wajifanya unioni. Jana, 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 you pull me into your fire. My hands all over your body is all I remember. Let's go to the next song. Ulikuwa kwangu jana, hata nyi wenye mna watch unajifanya unijui. Yeah. This is the song that carried us through COVID, through 2020. So, najua nikiimba, most of you will feel nostalgia. Yeah? There's a quarantine outside, ain't nobody leaving. It's after Valentine's, not yet July, and I wish it wasn't raining. And I know you don't believe when I said I miss you more, but you don't know what I'd give to walk right through your door, just to hear you say everything will be alright. Shit happens for a reason, finding ways to pass the time, searching for little meaning, thinking maybe it is the time for me and you to take this time to reset and rewind. Na 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 na, yeah. One more time, that was. There's a quarantine outside, ain't nobody leaving. Finya hiyo kitu, yeah. It's after Valentine's, not yet July, and I wish it wasn't raining. And I know you don't believe when I said I miss you more, but you don't know what I'd give to walk right through your door, just to hear you say, we'll be alright. Shit happens for a reason, finding ways to pass the time, searching for new meaning, thinking maybe it's the time for me and you to take this time, yeah, to reset and rewind. Na, 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 na. Everything will be alright. Shit happens for a reason, finding ways to pass the time, searching for new meaning, thinking maybe it's the sign for me and you to take this time, to reset and rewind. This last song is my song, yeah? It's called Tunza Moyo. Turn to your neighbor, waambie tunza moyo. Najua mnajifanya pale mnaongea, mwambie tunza moyo. Tunza moyo. When I give you my heart, take care of it. Let's go. Yeah? Nikipenda ninapenda moyo. Nikipenda ninapenda na moyo, nikijali ninajali na moyo, moyo wote, kila sehemu. Muda wangu ni wako, napenda kukupenda, napenda kupenda, kupenda vile mina kupenda, hata mina tunza moyo wangu wewe, moyo wangu nakupe hadi mwisho wa tunza moyo wangu wewe zaidi. Let's go. Upendo wangu kwako moyo ni zaidi. I'll take you places you've never seen. Pamoja we will be living a dream. Napenda kukupenda, napenda kupenda, napenda kupenda, napenda kupenda vile mina kupenda, hata mina tunza moyo wangu wewe, moyo wangu nakupenda hadi mwisho wa tunza moyo wangu wewe. Sauti Sessions, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
before nitoke, Sauti Sessions stand one, yeah. Happy birthday SS, cause you can't stay Sauti Sessions. Tuimbe happy birthday Sauti Session. Sauti session turned one. Turned one year. Tuwaimbie happy birthday, si ndio? Nipatie the good key. Happy birthday, SS. Happy birthday, SS. Happy birthday, Sauti Sessions. Happy birthday to Sauti Sessions. Yeah.
See ya, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so
God
much
bless
for
you
coming to the
guys.
show. It's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.